Hey Woodturners, I'm Captain Eddie Castro and welcome to my shop. Got a nice little project today. This came from a request from one of the regular viewers. Said, Cap, why don't you do a pepper grinder? So that's what we're going to do. My version of the pepper grinder. You can use any kit you want because it's not kit specific. It's just some ideas you can use to make your grinder stand out amongst the herd of others that are out there. And it's relatively simple. Uses just one or two chucking moves and it gives you a nice overall product. So if you're ready, stand by because it's time to watch. The kit we're going to use is the Deluxe Peppermill by Craft Supplies. Now there's a great book on this by Dale Nish. It's the Essential Peppermills. They all come with a very basic instruction sheet. We're talking 1 page of paper. And it starts with select the 2 3/4 inch square blank 1 inch longer than the mechanism. So I'm going to use a short mechanism. And a block of mystery wood. And I'm about an inch and 1/4 larger. So right off the bat we're going to put it between centers. I do like my step center here for centering up work. And beginner wood turners should look into a step center because it'll hold the piece and allow you to get a catch when you're rounding it out, and just by tightening up the tailstock you go back to turning it again. But it holds it where it won't go on and get you. So we're going to put it between centers. Lock down the tailstock. Bring up a little bit tighter. That puts the teeth into it. We're going to round it out using a good old-fashioned roughing gouge. Roughing out starts maybe 400 or 500 RPMs. I'm going to knock the corners off. Just get some lumber out the way. My target piece is going to only be 2 3/8 inches. Once you get it down to the round, about 2.5 inches, stop the lathe and go through and take a real hard look at the piece. You're looking for knots, defects, traps, etc. That's going to say, nah, that's going to show up later on, or I don't want to go through that much trouble, or. So now's the time to take a hard look at it. Once you got a hard look at it, then we want to make it to where we can hold it in this jaw so we can drill it. So we're going to put a tenon over here. Actually, I misspoke because I have the chuck in my way on the other end. This is where I would put my tenon. My target is to get somewhere around that size right there. So it grabs, my chuck grabs it pretty well. My tool for doing that is this skew that's raked at the same angle as the jaws. I come in a little bit higher than center. It gives me almost a slicing cut. Then I have to make sure that I'm deeper in the back than I am in the front. and I compare it to my template. That tells me I'm going to be a little bit larger than I really need to be, but I'm doing okay. That groove down there, this has to be cleaned out, and this has to slope downward, downhill into that crevice, into there, to suck it into the chuck. Got it? That part there is important. Once we're flipped around, then we do a little test spin to see how true we're running. That's pretty good. Now remember, the important part about having that tenon down there was to get this jaw to, whoa, come back, was to get this jaw to grab it and pull it in. If you don't do that tenon right, it's just grabbing onto it, this will leave. So make sure you get that tenon set up right. The next move would be drilling the piece. To drill it, first you have to decide what it's going to be, how it's going to look. Alright, I'm going to use the golden mean to determine how much should it be the base and how much should be the cap. This is a phi PHI ruler. Now, this comes up to 7. So I'm going to say 7 is going to be the height of my base, because this is 2/3 of this, or this times 1.318699 and all that, the golden mean from these two. Okay, I've got a pair of calipers that'll do this also, but so I've decided that coming up that length would be the joint and the bottom. That would be about there, and this being the overall height of my piece, right? But that's not true, because I need a socket or a tenon on the end of this cap to go into this piece. So for right now, I'm going to drill this out to this point, and I drill it with a 1-inch Forstner bit. See that bit? Okay. That's a 1-inch Forstner that's been welded onto a piece of 3/8 mild rod. If you don't have this, you can get an adapter that'll grab the shaft on a Forstner bit. You can do it. But if you've got a buddy in your wood turning club that does some welding, get some mild rod, clean it up and bring it to him. Have him drill it for you. We crank it up, we go at it. We're going at it at about 400 or 500 RPMs. It's a 1 1/16 inch bit. But you know they don't make a 1 16th inch bit. So that's a 1-inch bit. Because I never could figure out where these folks were getting this need for 1 16th inch. And I'll show you in a few minutes. I want to be, that is 4.5 inches. This is 4.5 inches. If I stopped earlier and just put a mark there and said, okay, I'm going to live with that being my height. I'll run out of quill, so I'll move my tailstock up before I get a second bite on it. Now once you're clear, come out, get this out the way. That's all the drilling you need of this bit at this time. So, put that away. You're going to end up having some kits for turning projects. I'll give you a piece of advice. Get some pencil cases from Walmart or one of the discount stores to store the parts in, the common parts. Alright, now, we're talking about the 1-inch. Let me explain to you about the 1-inch. Alright, the instructions say 1 1/16. See that bell housing right there? That bell housing's got to fit in that hole. It fits in that 1-inch hole perfectly. So when you get the instructions and it says 1 1/16, measure that piece right there. If that fits in a 1-inch, you're home free, brother. Now, the next drilling is we're going to clean up this end, and we're going to put the recess that this and the stabilizer goes into. Got it? Got it. I know you got it. You're right with me, aren't you? Aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Give me back the remote. Come on. You're looking at the bottom of the grinder as it would be sitting on the table. You don't want this sitting on your table. Right? Right. Okay. Unless you're sitting down to the big fancy eating room at the Clampett's mansion. Let's bring the speed up. Fingernail grind gouge. This is the D way. Clean up cut. Read the bevel. Turn on. You want to see that a little closer? I got you up a little bit closer. Watch this now. Fingernail gouge, straight up and down, close as a grind. You see that? Very little cut. Once you get a little bit better spot. There. Very little cut. But what that gave me was a reed. Now when I have that reed, I twist the handle. One more time, straight up and down, closed flute. See it? Closed. Get a reed. It marks the piece. You see the mark? Read it, twist it, let it slide forward. If you don't twist it, you'll just beat the bevel and you won't make any cuts. You want to go a little deeper, step in a little bit. Because when it sits on the table, I want it to sit on the outer rim. So I'm going to go right here. Cut also has to be on this end. You see, as the mechanism fits in there, I need a space for this to flatten out into. This right here. That sits up and in, then there's a cap. When this is all put together, it fits like this, and there's a retainer that fits across a little strap. Oh, it's a dinky little thing, but it has to fit across there. So you need a recess down here. The instructions say drill something like a 1 5/8 inch hole. But we already did all the drilling. Let's take a little multi-tool or a little parting tool, or resort to our double-edged negative rake scraper. And that can be a little bigger. Okay, then clean up the inside of the edge a little bit. You see it? Now, we've created our base, our overall width, the hole for the grinder, the hole for the mechanism, and it's all on the end now. Whole lot of work and a little bit of time on the end of a piece. It's time to do some basic shaping on the piece. We have that hole dug. I'm going to use my specially calibrated hole bottom finder device, and I'm going to say a hole's actually that deep. Okay, this is a technical piece of equipment, and I'd rather you not snicker when I talk about it. All right, try to refrain yourself there. Okay, now Tailstock comes up, got a cone on it. Why? I'm between centers. I like this. This is where I want to be. Now, I have to do a shape from here to whatever to get to here. Everything up here doesn't matter until I get to here. And I got a tenon that goes in here, so if I do something up here that makes it, it doesn't matter. Right now we're just going to pick a little bit of a shape or design, and what the heck. We'll look at this and we'll say, okay, they got a little bead here and a little twist in here, and I got a 1-inch hole in the center. Then we're going to come back out. I'm going to be almost the same width when I get up here. All right, let's go ahead and spin some wood. Did you get that? You got that, okay. Yeah. I like to have targets. So, I'm going to take a parting tool, and say that, because I see that ease in this spinning a blade. All right, let me get you. That's pretty good position. There. All right. I'm going to do some shaping on this. I was never married to that design. I'm just kind of dating it a little bit. I'm going to leave the bottom nice and square. All right. That's nice. I'll take that. And then somewhere up in here, I want to take off and put a 3/8 inch Ellsworth gouge by D-Way. Wood out the way. That's why I like this tool. Without that little back on it, that relief, I can turn corners with it. It's going to go down again. I don't want to go back uphill, so I go over here. I'm pretty close. I can't kill any more light, but the lights make it the way you don't see it very well. Let's talk about this. I'm not going to be this big at the top. I'm leaving it fat on the bottom. It's going to look kind of like me, a little bit thin on the top and fat on the bottom. Those are all slices. I'm reading the bevel when I'm doing that. That's going to be okay. I need to accent this a little bit before we finish off up here. Right? Right. Let me tell you, when I get to those kinds of shapes, what I do. You might hear it winding down in the background. I set up my grinder and I put a fresh edge on my half-round scraper. My weapon of choice right here. That's reading the bevel. The tool rest is clean. I won't get any catches. Then I check it. Again, we stop the lathe and we look for tears and rips. That's important. Because here, maybe a design change can make that go away a little bit. So the key is to work your design to what the wood will allow. I said I want to do a little something on this base. This base looks really good right now. It's good, it's flat, it's right. What I would do at this point is pass a little paper on it just to take any marks and all that, because I don't want to over sand it later. So there's just some heavy grit. Same thing would happen down in here. Just clean this up. Now, once I've got, I would sand more than that, okay? I would. Then I'm going to use from Dave at D-Way Tools this little beading tool. Bring the speed back up again. I'm going to go right off the edge here. This tool cuts by pushing it straight up. Then back down here on the bottom. And I get the prettiest little beads so quickly, it's unbelievable. Where's the button? Come on, get in there. Look, see those? That is sweet. They're true, they're round, they're easy. Now, I'm going to get rid of that little fin down there and clean that up. Why? Because I can. I'll get this out the way and finish cleaning that up. I'm going to sand this, reestablish this cut, put a slice down here. So you with me? I remeasured that inside, came right here. That will be the top of my piece. Doesn't work with a little square up, with a taper up there, so I'm going to square it off a little bit there, because I'm going to have the lid, the top, come over it just about a 1/4 inch, so you're not looking at a crack horizontal. Go back down here on the bottom. Someone called me today and asked me if I seen that gizmo that goes on you on a lathe post over here, and it looks like a thumb screw to tighten it up so this stays in the same height. Why? Okay. Always take a look at how it'll sit on a table to make sure it doesn't have a rise to where this doesn't gap too much off the table so it rocks. Okay? Now, we've got all that done. We're to the point to where, see if I can explain all this to you. This is ready for the bottom piece. This needs to be sanded out. This needs to be sanded out. If you're into embellishment, wire burning, shadow work, here's your plateau right here. This is your palette. That's where you're going to work at. If you want to clean this up and soften it, this is now the time to do it. Finish this piece as much as you possibly can right now. Put a couple of coats of sealer on it. Put some sealer on the bottom. Sand off all the burrs. Especially clean all that up on the bottom down there. Clean that up. Get all that ready. This is your time to do finishing while it's rotating. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to say time passes. Time passed. Set my tool rest back up. Have my parting tool. I'm going to stabilize the piece. I'll have to do a little cleaning by hand right there, or re-drilling, which is no big deal. Missed on my measurement just a little bit, but I was close. I was so close I just caved in it with my thumb. It was about 1/8 of an inch. And now I'm just going to clean it up with a utility knife. Okay. And I'm going to be sanding that area with probably some 120 grit paper before it's over with, just to clean all that up to make the next part move better. Alright, that's what I'm going to do right now. All right, cleaned it up, sanded it out. It'd been better if I had drilled all the way to the bottom and I wouldn't have to do that by hand. But we got it done, right? Next we go over here and we put the tenon that's going to fit into this hole on this piece. Now, this is not super exact work. You got a few shots to get it right. You got some extra lumber. Am I close? I don't have any idea. Nope, I'm a good 1/16 of an inch away. But it got some wood out the way and I wanted to see what this looked like. Now when I do something like this, I normally just do a little test on the end. Then I fit the piece up, because that can go way up inside and it won't matter. A little bit too tight, huh? Oh yeah, that's the fit we're looking for. Now once we get that done, we need to have where this will receive into this lid a little bit. So you can mark this. You don't want to cut right to the edge of that, okay? Because you don't want it to be loose up there. That's your second chance to snug it up. Your first was a good tight tenon. The second is the receiver. This is an added step. It's not in the kit, but I think it makes for a better looking piece. Be about an eighth heavy. See if you can understand where this is heading. I'm not big enough yet. I want to get this inside there. That's what I was looking for. This tenon goes in here and makes the piece operate. This notch hides that joint. When you look at the piece sitting on the table, this will be broken only by the grain line, not a black line that goes through it. See what we're doing? Camouflage. That's French for you can't see it. Really. Our next move is to make this piece overall pleasant by rolling this around, turning this to a cap. That's going to be my overall height to have this break fall at the phi line or the golden mean. So that'll be the top of my piece. I will be putting a 1/4 inch hole right through this for the mechanism to work in or pass through. And we do that with a regular drill bit. We create a perfect depression for it to start in, so it runs through the piece. One word of caution: before you drill any holes or fit up any hardware for any kit you get, dry fit it with a micrometer and take a look at what they're talking about matching up. These kits come in bulk from Joe Jasitsu or his cousin, and then they get repackaged and they don't necessarily match what's in the instructions. Check it out. It takes just a few minutes to dry walk it and see what it looks like. It's my 1/4 inch hole. Well, you caught me doing another one of my secrets. I do this on pieces before I assemble or get down to where it's at. It takes just a minute to put a little coat of finish on these before you go to the next step. Because some pieces, when you part them off and get rid of them, you no longer have the ability to spin a finish on. The piece is now loose. This gives you the ability to just put a little bit of coat on before you go. And before I go, now I go between centers. Makes it much more stable. That is the top height right here. So I'm just going to do a little permanent reference. Give me a better idea of where I'm heading. Right? Okay. Crank and see up. I'm between centers. We get some speed going so I can get some good slicing going. I'm going to come down off this point. That's going to be a little bit square right there. I'm fine with that. Then I'm going to pick it up here, roll it around, and come over the top. Okay? once again I resort to my scraper. Soften up some transitions. Feel for flat spots. Remember, curvers don't have flat spots. I think there's one right there. Ah, there we go. I'm ready to part off and put it in a jam chuck. This is looking good. But I want to sand this, and round this part off before I take it off to here. That's next. Once again, you caught me. This is spinning. I can add simple finish while it's still spinning. And that aids my changeover to the finish of the final piece. And I want this to be finished underneath here really well, so it moves well on top of the other, which I haven't finished yet. So we burn in a finished coat of sealer. Isn't that redundant? No, that's... You can't say a finished coat of sealer. Oh, I just did. Twice. Next, time passes. This is kind of the opportunity to take another look at it. Oh, wow! What happened to the line? It's gone. All I got to worry about is that pencil mark that I put on there. But when I finish this, and I never was spinning holding this end, so this can be finished easily. I'm going to be over the top like a mushroom cap. I can't finish the piece the way it's sitting, so we're going to take it off the lathe, create a jam chuck to hold this, and then finish the very cap of it. I parted it off. I left it a little bit heavy up there because I want to have a little something I can trim. I'm going to clean this up. If I still had my Forstner bit, chucked up, I could do the suppression really quick. Got a little distracted, got a little bit oversized, so a little bit of tissue paper, and we're back to where we have a jam chuck. And I'm going to spin up spin the center in here just a little bit, just to stabilize it. Okay. Then I'm going to take a couple light passes down the inside with a fingernail gouge. Here, get in a little closer so you can see this. There you go. Well, we're wobbling a little bit off center there. There we go. Again, almost vertical. Read the tool, open it up. Make those finish cuts. Now, I get way down in there, it's kind of hard to reach. I'll go ahead and take a parting tool. Get it to where the sand. After you've done all the finishing, and it really is easier if you do as much as you can while it's spinning on the lathe. Then you have to put it together. There's a keeper that screws to the bottom of the lid. That grabs the square bar. There's also a keeper that goes across the bottom down here to keep the mechanism from coming out. If when somebody unscrews it, so it doesn't fall completely out and all your pepper, beans, and everything else go all over the table or the floor. And no, you can pick them up. They're okay. Now, once you get it together, or when you're putting it together, you'll probably find that, you know that 1/4-inch hole you drilled up at the top? Well, it wasn't quite big enough for this little piece to fit inside, so you have to countersink it. Step bit or another bit that'll drill that hole. Then you put the whole thing together, and amazingly, when you get done, you get a pretty good product. Now, notice that the cap comes over, you don't see the line. It sort of disappears. Gives you a nice looking finish. This has got a little heft to it, but then you only pick it up when you're eating. All right, well, I'm Captain Eddie Castle, and thanks for joining me in today's workshop, because we've had a little fun making shavings. If I only knew what kind of wood this was. But really not critical, is it? No. I do like it though, it is pretty. And I happen to get lucky and all the measurements worked out. You take care. See you soon.